Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is a channel about self development, transformation, and questioning your beliefs and growing into a more grounded, more healed version of yourself. That's what we do here. And today I want to talk about something that I think sadly lives rent free in the mind of a lot of women, and it's the fear of being cheated on. And more specifically, the belief underneath that same fear that if you're attractive enough, if you're, let's say, successful enough, desirable enough, it won't happen to you because they won't find any better. So there's a version of this thought I think most women have had at some point in their life. So for example, what I've heard a lot of is, oh, if Megan Fox got cheated on, what hope is there for the rest of us? Or whichever celebrity you find most conventionally attractive and recently got cheated on publicly by their partner, and understand why that is, because and why it lands the way it does, because Megan Fox, and I like her very much, but she represents something in the cultural imagination, this almost unreachable standard of beauty and desirability. So even if she wasn't enough to keep someone faithful, then what chance do the rest of us have? That's the logical conclusion a lot of women draw. And your brain goes into thinking, oh, I need to be even more, I need to be better, more attractive, more interesting, or more of whatever the current standard is. So that conclusion, however, is built on a completely false premise, well, in my opinion anyway. And that's what I want to unpack today. So if someone wants to cheat, if they want to cheat on you, they will cheat on you regardless of what you do or what you look like. There's no stopping them. So let's start with the belief itself that faithfulness is something you earn. So let's say that you get cheated on. And first thing that comes to mind for most people, I believe, is who did he cheat with? And I think that's worth being honest about. It's because it's a search for an answer to another question. The question being, and you might be asking that on a subconscious level, but it's, what does she have that I don't? If she's more conventionally attractive, for example, there's almost a strange relief in that. It's a painful one, but at least obviously the beauty as a currency logic still holds. However, if she's not, if you look and there's no obvious answer, that's kind of when it spirals. What did you see in her when you had me? And that question can do a lot of damage because it has no satisfying answer. And in the absence of one, most women would turn this inwards, which is exactly where it doesn't actually belong. Because his choice to cheat had nothing to do with your adequacy as a person or as a woman, and it had everything to do with his. So let's talk about why people actually cheat, because I don't think we examine this honestly enough. Sometimes it's as simple as lack of morals. Some people cheat because they want to and they've decided that that's acceptable and it's happening. Maybe they didn't care enough about having you in their life or to protect what you had, and that's not a reflection of your worth, that's really a reflection of theirs. And sometimes it's about validation, and this one is worth sitting with, because often the people who seek validation outside the relationship aren't doing it because their partner isn't enough. It's usually the case of they're doing it because they feel like they're not enough, that they feel like that what they have, who they have as a partner, is almost too good for them. Rather than doing the work it takes to feel worthy of said relationship, they look outside it for ego, for reassurance, for proof, any proof that they're still desirable. And that's not your failure, that's unresolved wound playing out at your expense. And sometimes really it's just weakness, pure and simple. The inability to walk away from something that they know they should walk away. The inability to be honest with you and with themselves. And rather than having the courage to end the relationship that isn't working, for example, or be vulnerable enough to say something is missing, they take the coward's route. Weakness. That's what it is. Pure and simple weakness. And it says everything about them and nothing about you, because that really is on them. And then there's the pride angle, which doesn't get talked about enough, in my opinion, because some of the fear around being cheated on actually isn't just about the heartbreak, it's about humiliation. And it's the how could this happen to me response. Underneath that thought is its own form of ego, the belief that your looks, your status, or your perceived desirability should protect you from the experience, from being cheated on. Like you've earned some sort of immunity almost. I think this is worth examining honestly, because if part of your fear is I'm too good for this to happen to me, that's still your self worth being tied to external markers. Still the same system, just showing up in a different way. Being cheated on can happen to literally anyone. It's not a verdict of your value, and believing that your appearance or your status should shield you from it is just another version of the arrival fallacy. The idea that if you become enough, you will finally be safe. You won't, because safety doesn't come from being desirable, it comes from somewhere else entirely. And we'll get to that. But first, I want to ask the bigger question underneath all of this: why are we so afraid of being cheated on in the first place? Because, yes, it's betrayal, it involves dishonesty from someone you trusted. Those things are obviously real and they're serious and they impact people. But look at how much power we hand over to this one fear. The mental energy spent on it, the way it can shape behavior inside relationships before anything has even happened. And that's not caution anymore. That's giving it control. Checking messages, following your partner's every step, being suspicious 24/7, that is no way to live life. So, like, what's really going on there? I think it's this: it's not the act itself that we're most afraid of, it's what it would shatter. The version of the relationship you believed in, the idea that what you had was real. Finding out someone cheated doesn't just hurt, it makes you question literally everything. Was any of it true? Did they really love me the way I thought they loved me? And that's unraveling. And yes, for some people, it can brush up against also older wounds, the feeling of not being chosen, of not being enough, rejection wounds. And people have been cheated on previously by previous partners as well. So that kind of just like opens up that old wound as well. And that fear in particular, not being enough, not being chosen, that's not really about infidelity. It's a worth wound. And no amount of being wary inside a relationship is going to heal it, sadly. So, somewhere along the way, for some reason, a lot of women internalize the idea that having a faithful partner is something that you need to earn, as if loyalty is a reward for being the right kind of woman, attractive enough, desirable enough, agreeable enough in some cases. And I want to challenge that completely, because that framing positions male approval and male presence as the prize and something that you need to be worthy of, which is so, so wrong. And when you operate from that belief, even on a subconscious level, you hand over an enormous amount of power again. And that's just not an unbalanced relationship dynamic. It's an anxiety loop altogether. So staying faithful, I think, is the baseline for a relationship where both partners, both of you want to be monogamous rather than something that has to be earned. Literally, for those kind of relationships, it is the baseline. And a man who cheats isn't doing it because you fell short of some standard. He's doing it because of something in him, his values, his wounds, his choices. It's all on him. I'm sorry. Full stop. Your job is not to be so desirable that no one would ever risk losing you. Your job is to know your worth clearly enough that if someone shows you who they are, you believe them and you act accordingly, whatever that looks like for you, because I think it's different for everyone. Because here's what I think the real work is in all of this. It's not about becoming uncheat worthy, if that's even a thing. I don't think there's such thing actually. It's about building a relationship with yourself that is stable enough that the idea of someone else's, betrayal, as painful as it may be, doesn't threaten the foundation of who you are. It's about getting to a place where you know clearly, not just as a concept, but actually know that someone else's weakness or dishonesty is not a reflection of your value. It's about separating this person hurt me from this means something about me, because those two are completely different sentences, and mixing them is where so much of the damage lives. So this week, I want to leave you with something to sit with. When you think about the fear of being cheated on, what is it actually about for you? Is it about the betrayal itself, or is it about what you believe it would say about you? And realistically speaking, what's the worst thing that can happen if you get cheated on? And separately from that, are you in your relationship from a place of genuine choice, or from a place of needing it to confirm something about yourself or your worth? Because those two things feel similar from the inside, can feel similar anyway, but lead to very different places. So yeah, this is it from me for today. As usual, please do let me know in the comments, what your experience with infidelity is. Have you ever been cheated on? And if that was the case, how did you get over it? What did it do for you? Did it trigger anything? And most importantly, did you manage to heal that wound for yourself? Did you manage to snap out of the mindset that this is something that you genuinely need to fear? So yeah, shall see you in the next video.